And welcome to episode 82 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean Ani, editor-in-chief of the site, and I'm joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing this week, Todd?
I'm good.
First off, I want to address it appears that Google Hangouts is having problems with the question and answer system, and I do apologize for that. It's unfortunately something we have no control over. However, if you do want to ask us some questions, you can tweet at us. I'm at Sean Piani, which I forgot to turn on my thing at the bottom to show you that. And Todd is at RoboTodd on Twitter. So if you want to ask us questions there, we'll try to answer them. I've got Twitter open on another screen so I can watch that. So hopefully, from what I can find, Google is aware of the issue and has got engineers working on it, but who knows how long that will take. But to the point of the show this week, we want to address yet again Apple rumors. Since we were last here, we did get the invitation for the event next week. We will be there. And we still don't have a good idea of what exactly is going to be announced. We have rumors.
I know everything's been based on rumors, and it's like, well, right now, like the big ones that we've heard of, mainly from like 9 to 5 Mac, they seem to be like go-to for all this stuff, is iPhone SE, the iPad Pro Mini or whatever, like this smaller version, iPad Air 3 kind of thing, and then watch bands for the Apple Watch. But Apple's sort of like, it's overdue for refreshes on MacBooks and stuff like that too. So it could be like a really busy day out of the blue. And there were rumors that it was, here's the thing, I guess, that it might not be a crazy busy day because there were rumors that Apple wasn't even going to hold an event. So like, it's either going to be a bunch of stuff or just a couple things that are, whatever. I think the big news is going to be the iPad and the iPhone, though.
Yeah, I think so as well. But what's interesting is, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this pre-show, but something I wanted to address is we're getting a lot of leaks right now for the iPhone 7, which are so clearly fake.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah. What do you think anyone gets out of creating those?
I think there's certain probably joy for like tricking the press, right? Like everybody reports on this image that you made, like, on your computer. And so I think that's why they do it. But, some of them it's weird. Like, so the rumors have for a long while said that some form of the iPhone 7, this isn't something we're going to see next week at Apple's March event. We're talking about September here, but that it's going to have like some model is going to have this high-end dual camera, I don't know what it's for, maybe like super wide angle and something else or better focus, I don't know, but that it's going to have that. And the rumors started to like say like, well, maybe it's an iPhone 7 or the 7 Plus or this new 7 Pro. And so then we saw the module leak like earlier this week or something. It's just like two camera lenses right next to each other. It's exactly like what we've seen on like the G5, for example. And in the case of the G5, it's used, one's a regular 16 megapixel camera, the other one's an 8 megapixel wide angle lens. And so Apple could be doing that, but I'm not sure why. And so now it's like the craziest thing with all these rumors is like sites don't know what to call this phone. It's like, is this the iPhone 7 Pro? Is it the iPhone 7 Plus? Is it the iPhone Pro? Is it like, what the heck is it called? So like, we have no idea what it is. And so the module came out, and that one seems like, okay, kind of legitimate because, the module probably exists somewhere, right? Like, it doesn't have to be for this phone. Maybe Apple was interested at one point, and, somebody, maybe it's Toshiba, maybe it's Sony, maybe whoever makes this module, whatever. Okay, so that exists. And then the next thing is, like, we start to see renders, like concepts of the phone, and so that exists. And then you start to see, like, yesterday, the back or the alleged phone itself, except like the Apple logo looked like it was like almost melting or like had a dent in its head.
That picture looked like it was taken with a Game Boy camera.
Then that's the other thing, and they're like highly pixelated, and you're like, what the heck? Like, why is this so low resolution? And you start to think, well, it's probably low resolution because they're hiding something. They're trying to hide like a terrible Photoshop job or something like that. And, make it look like it was, quickly snapped with like a piece of crap camera. But
now this morning's made me laugh because it was just a slab of aluminum, essentially.
Oh, I saw that too.
But
yeah.
What really made me laugh was that they had a black plastic tray in the background like we've seen in Foxconn. where they'll carry the phones around. I think that was supposed to add some legitimacy to the image.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like it could be legitimate, right? Like some of them, I don't know, but we won't really know until much later when we start to see like the same parts come. Like if this one leaks again from somewhere totally different, then you're like, okay, that's starting to add up.
Well, I have a definite distrust of any image that is supposedly from inside Foxconn because, I mean, they watch them like hawks.
Yeah.
My favorite leak, do you remember the one from a couple months ago where the guy was videoing and at the end you could hear his supervisor yell at him?
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, that has to be my favorite fake leak. Come on.
Yeah.
Like okay, first off, if the guy had been able to get a camera in there. Secondly, if a supervisor yells at him, he wouldn't have immediately walked over and made him, taken the phone and deleted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, we caught you, but we're just going to let you go.
Yeah.
You got it, so it's okay. You can walk out.
Well, this is like the other day where the iPhone SE allegedly came up, and it was like somebody just buying it like in China, and the retailer's like, oh, yeah, here it is. Like, what? I mean, here's the thing. This is what probably exists. Like, the dummy models that are created using leaked schematics that, might exist for a case maker to build cases for this phone. Because they do. They build them ahead of time, especially partners of Apple, so that Apple can sell these cases right away in the stores, for the people buying the phone. So like that makes sense. But like an iPhone SE, I have a hard time believing it's just sitting in a store. I mean, sure, they're going around. Remember years ago when Gizmodo got one in a restaurant, but it was like covered in a fake body and everything. So
yeah,
the
infamous Gizmodo situation. But I do wonder sometimes if, and I know this has been theorized before, you have to wonder if sometimes Apple doesn't do some of this itself to throw people off the scent.
Oh, I think, yeah. There was one recently where we were talking about whether the name or something like that, like if they had used certain names to like maybe see where the holes are, where the leaks are coming from. Like if you think about it, maybe this group calls it this, maybe that group calls it this, and they're all within Apple working on it. And then like one name comes out, like, oh, that's the group that's leaking. Like, you start to narrow it down. But I don't know. And you start to think about parts and everything like the same way.
Yeah.
You can never really tell. I think, look, at this point, it seems pretty plausible, though, that there's going to be some kind of dual system camera, because why else would it appear like in every single rumor? But you also have to assume that some of it's just like I was saying, like people assuming it's going to happen, so they're building these renders and these mock-ups, and lost in translation is a big problem too all the time. Like we're reporting on something from China, and maybe we're using Google Translate to translate the article, all the U.S. press,
which is always accurate,
right? And which, yeah, exactly. And like it says like iPhone 7 something, and maybe maybe it says a form of mock-up, but like it's just not. It's really hard to predict. That's why we're always saying, like, take this with the biggest grain of salt you can. Like, yeah, I hate that phrase. I try not to use it, but like literally now we're putting it in the headlines. Like, it's probably fake, just a heads up.
Yeah, but I mean, this week especially, it seems like we need to go get a salt lick. I mean, it's just
exactly.
It's insane. These completely obvious fakes that are coming out recently.
Yeah, but then. I mean, I think it goes back and forth. Like people in the comments are like, "This is stupid. Why are you reporting on it?" And then, you also have readers that'll like send it in. I think commenters don't always know this, but like they'll send it in, or tips and stuff like that, or like, "Why aren't you reporting on this?" And you're like, I mean, it's stupid, but some people like that stuff.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If we don't report on something, we hear about it. If we do report on something, we hear about it. I mean, I've come a long way from worrying about that anymore, because we're going to cover what we cover. But that is just the way it breaks. So I think it's weird though. I mean, if this event next week is just the iPhone 5 SE and whatever this mysterious iPad is, that seems like not enough for an Apple scale event.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking maybe there's some sort of small or larger Mac refresh. I think MacBook Pro is ready for one.
Yeah, I mean, to come along and have an event for a budget, and I'm using air quotes here, a budget iPhone and just a smaller version of the iPad Pro just seems odd.
Yeah.
And that I have to agree with you. I think it almost feels like there is something else lurking in the background.
Yeah. Hey, there's a question.
Oh, wow. Finally. So the Q&A does appear to be working. We'll get to that here in a little bit. But
yeah, I agree with you. Like, you know, why call the press in for everything? But you know what? You know what might make a lot of sense, though? This is a 4-inch iPhone, and I think they're going to try to make it very, very clear, like, this is not a cheapo, you know, knockoff, or, you know, like, you know how what was it? I guess how the 5S was kept around for a little bit, you know, and it's just at a lower price point. I think they're going to try to position this as, look, it is the same processor as the 6S and the 6S Plus, just a smaller phone for people who want that. And I think then it'll allow them to sell it at a lower price to consumers who otherwise feel that the 6S and 6S Plus are too expensive. Because remember that the screens and stuff are very expensive. So this should help drop the price. And I think they want it to be, you know, I bet Apple cringes if the press says, and they probably will, you know, Apple unveils cheaper iPhone, because they probably don't want it to be called cheap, but like more affordable.
yeah, well, guess which one's easier?
I'm sorry, I was thinking about the 5C. Remember, like plastic and stuff like that. It was like,
okay, so let's say it is a 4-inch iPhone. My day will not be complete if Johnny Ive doesn't say some variation of it's unapologetically diminutive.
Yeah, unapologetically affordable.
Yeah, it's the greatest Johnny Ive quote ever. Unapologetically plastic.
Yeah.
Wow. That ranks up there with my other favorite Apple quote. It's a 1/4 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah. I love that. 1/4 terabyte. We're all like sitting here reporting on it. Like, did he just say that? Like, it's 256 gigs.
Yeah. I remember we were all on for those that don't know, when there's a big event like this, all the writers get on a Skype call so we can talk faster. And all of us went, did he really just say 1/4 terabyte?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
That's like the weirdest thing. Like, who says it? Yeah.
Oh, so odd.
But speaking of plastic and colors, I just got I bought the Next Bit Robin, and it just came today.
I want you to tell everybody what you said to me when it arrived.
Well, okay. But I take it back now. I said, let me just give backstory to you. I saw this at CES with the Next Bit team, and I really, really liked it. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I backed it during our meeting. And I got the limited edition blue and black version. So I forget what it was called. It wasn't Lightning. Maybe it was Lightning. Anyway. And it shipped a little bit later than all the other units. So like, people already have it, but mine just came, and I just bought the S7 Edge, right, on AT&T. So that was my phone, and then this one arrived, and like, it's not as powerful. So I was like, I told Sean, I don't even care about it anymore. But I take it back, because I opened it up and I remember why I liked it so much. And it's a really nice phone, but you know, I haven't used it very long. We already did our review. The guys out in Irvine have it. They've used it for a while. They actually bought one too. But no, it's really cool looking. Look at that. I mean,
it does look cool. It looks very cool.
It's got like this really light blue on the top and bottom, and the black back, and then a blue power button that's also the fingerprint reader. But I mean, it's noticeably slower right off the bat. I mean, the S7 Edge is really quick, and this is Snapdragon 808, which isn't a big deal. But the camera launch is slower. It definitely performs slower. Yeah, it's just different. But I'm excited. The guy that designed this, Scott Croyle, also worked on the HTC One M7, which is another great phone. So the design's all coming back to me now. That, like, when I saw it at CES.
And the best part is you can't return it.
You know what though? This is limited edition. Maybe I could probably sell it on eBay, but I don't think I will. Like I said in previous shows, I bought this, and I'm excited for it because I support the team that built it.
Right.
One of them was a blogger at Phone Scoop for a while, way back in the day. And now works there. And Scott Croyle, like I said, worked on the M7. So I really like the team.
No, and I've been known to back things just for that same reason. A question from Sachin Bahal. Todd, I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Like I'm hearing an echo of myself. I know you have earphones in.
I'll just turn it down.
No problem.
Sorry, everybody.
No problem. So a question from Sachin Bahal. Does Apple need a 4-inch iPhone? And I think that's a great question. You know, everyone's moving to larger screens. Is there even still a market for 4-inch?
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's kind of weird. It's like now 5-inch has become like the small screen, which is unheard of, sort of, or 4.7. So 4 inches will be really tiny. But I think a lot of people have always thought of the iPhone as that. Like the people that didn't upgrade to the 6 and 6 Plus, 6S and 6S Plus. But also, I think more importantly, it's the price point that they're probably going to be able to come in at because of the smaller screens, lower resolution screens. They're probably pretty cheap compared to, Samsung's crazy bent OLED, AMOLED displays with Quad HD resolution. So I think that's probably a big part of it. Like I don't know that there's a huge customer base that are like, oh, I need a 4-inch iPhone, but there's probably research done that says there is. Otherwise, Apple wouldn't create it. But I think there's a huge customer base that says I want a more affordable iPhone. They're going to say, don't call it cheap, right? Hey, that's funny. Somehow Cortana just went off on my PC. What did I say? Which is just totally it's right in front of me for the people that are listening.
No idea.
There's a huge customer base that are like, oh, I need it. Just picked up the whole thing.
No clue. I don't know what you could have said that would have triggered that. Speaking of, I'm getting really tired of all the Amazon Echo commercials on television.
Oh, I haven't seen any. What are they like?
Well, they all involve Alec Baldwin at some point saying Alexa, which makes my Echo go off.
That's like when we did that during a show once.
Yeah. No, Alexa's getting. Yep. She's getting activated quite often by Alec Baldwin as of late. But yeah, I keep thinking about changing her name, but I like the name. So
me too. It's like I'm used to it now.
So the other topic we wanted to touch on was the out of the blue news yesterday from Disney that Indiana Jones 5 is a go.
Yeah, so can you explain part of that to me? Was that rumored, like, in your circles that you follow?
Well, it had been somewhat. I mean, once Disney picked up Lucasfilm, questions started to circulate, what were they going to do with the Indiana Jones franchise? Because people forget Lucasfilm is not just Star Wars. It does also involve Indiana Jones and a few other properties. Mm-hmm. And so we started to hear some rumors. We started to hear some rumors that Chris Pratt, who played Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy, had been tapped to replace Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. But that's been more than a year now since we heard that. So, yeah, we had heard some rumors about it. Now, here's the thing, and one interesting article I read yesterday. So, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out 19 years after Last Crusade. So they had 19 years pass in Indiana Jones time as well, which placed him in 1957. So by the time this movie comes out, it'll be 11 years since Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which made me feel old really fast. And so then that would place this in 1968. They have also officially announced that Harrison Ford is back on board. Who will be
which surprised a lot. He's what, 77?
He will be 77 when the movie comes out.
Okay.
So then that brings up the question, okay, they've obviously got to get some fresh blood in this. They tried that in the last film with Shia LaBeouf as Mutt, which was horrible.
Yeah, well, how was that movie? I just realized yesterday I never even watched it.
When I first walked out, I was like, oh, it could have been better. And then when I thought about it for about 2 to 3 days later, I thought about going back and demanding my money back. Oh. It was it was not an Indiana Jones movie. And I went back and read my review of it yesterday that I did on my personal blog just because I wanted to refresh my memory about what I'd said. And a lot of the problem was that the movie had Indiana Jones following a path that was set by another archaeologist, so he was not discovering anything.
Oh, weird.
It was like a paint by numbers that he followed in the footsteps of another. And if you look back at the other 3 films, it was always Indy was the first one there. Indy was breaking the ground.
Yeah,
And
falling into a pit of snakes.
exactly. It didn't work in the fourth film. And if you ever do see it, you'll understand the term nuke the fridge.
Okay.
He gets, just for quickly, this is possibly one of the dumbest scenes in film history. He ends up in a test town. You know how the US government used to build fake towns to test atom bombs?
Yeah.
Well, he got into one of those and being chased just before an atom bomb is going to be tested. So his idea is to jump inside a lead-lined fridge. The atom bomb goes off, throws the fridge several miles, and he opens the door and just gets out.
What? So he just like flew through the air and
It flew a couple miles through the air inside of a refrigerator. Just
lands no damage.
no injuries to him whatsoever.
That's wild.
And so there was a movement for a while to replace jumping the shark with nuking the fridge.
That's great. There you go.
It didn't quite catch. But so they've announced the release date is July 19th, 2019, and that sets up a really bizarre year for Disney. And let's see. Yes, I kept this tweet around. So that means the 2019 slate for Disney now includes Star Wars 9, Incredibles 2, 3 Marvel movies, and Indiana Jones 5.
Wow.
So in other words, Disney,
those are all releasing
in 2019.
Wow. That's big news.
So in other words, Disney is just going to have to back a truck up to the box office.
Just take the cash.
And just have people shovel the cash into the truck.
That's awesome.
But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Indiana Jones. And one other thing I proposed last night on my own site was, which I hate promoting my own site, but I wrote a lot.
Yeah, how dare you?
I know. But the 2 Indiana Jones movies that work the best both involve going after Christian artifacts. Okay. And they also both involve the Nazis. So let's say this is set in 1968. So I was thinking, all right, maybe it's the lance that pierced Jesus's side, and it's Nazis that survived the war that are trying, if they think they can get the lance, they can rebuild the Nazi regime. They need to find some way to get Christianity back into it. They need to find someone to get the Nazis back into it. And I don't know. It's going to be very bizarre. And
you just want to see a return to like its original roots.
Exactly. Yeah. I want Indy to be the one to figure all this out. I don't want him going, oh, look, we were left some notes about where to go. All right, let's go there.
I was going to say, that sounds like a Dan Brown novel, like the, like what's his face?
The Da Vinci Code, yeah.
Yeah.
And let me bring Shia LaBeouf with me. Oh, and also in Kingdom of Crystal Skull is the beautiful scene of Shia LaBeouf swinging on vines through a jungle with monkeys.
All right. Sounds like I got to watch this movie.
You need to watch it. Just be prepared to be at the end of it going, what the hell was that?
What just happened?
Was that a fever dream?
It's that bad, huh?
It's pretty bad, but well, we've got some questions. Thank goodness the Q&A system is working. So let's jump into them here. From Sachin Bahal, when do you think we will see the HTC 10 or whatever it ends up being called?
It seems like it's coming soon, right? Like probably within April, maybe. I would guess April.
I think
I have no information on this at all.
I think with HTC sending out that tweet this week, I think that pretty much tells us we're close.
Yeah, if I had to guess, it'd be April, because why tease it like 2 months? I mean, maybe, but April. We have no, pre-briefs. We have no scheduling. We have nothing yet. Right.
And of course, I hear UPS pulling up outside. So I'm going to set you up with a question, Todd, while I go deal with that real quick.
Nice.
I love real life interjecting itself into our world. From BZ Bot, if Apple removes the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the iPhone 7 and on, how do you think consumers will respond overall? Will many just buy it because it's Apple? And I will be right back.
I think this goes 2 ways. Like, one, yes, I think you have the customers that are saying, yes, it's just Apple. I'm going to do it. I don't care. Okay, actually, there's probably more than 2 ways. So you have those customers. Then you have the customers that say, I don't care because I use Bluetooth headphones, so I'm going to buy it. So like I don't use the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack anyway, whether it's Apple or not. I don't care about that. So, I'm interested in the iPhone. I use Bluetooth headphones for working out for my commute. I don't care. So there's those two. Then I think there's the customers that are going to be like, no way, I'm not buying that. That's crazy because that's just stupid, right? Like I'm going to go with the S7. I like my headphones. I'm not going to, be forced to buy an adapter. Then I think you have the customers that are like, I don't like that idea of no 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, but all right, that's where the future's going. I'll buy it anyway, and I'll buy the dongle just in case. And I think that's what we saw with the MacBook when Apple went to USB-C and they said, this is the future, whether you like it or not. Buy the MacBook with USB-C, buy the dongle, and you can hook up everything else to it. So you'll have, I guess that's 4 groups of customers. You'll have the ones that say, yes, it's Apple. Yes, because I don't use a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. No, because I think, this is just the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And then I think you'll have the meh, yes, because I'm willing to cough up for that $20, $30 accessory, which I think it might cost. I mean, if you look back at the 30 pin to the lightning port, right? Like Apple made money on that. They sold these adapters.
I agree with everything you said.
Yes, Sean comes back. That was good timing, though. I mean, that was my answer. I think.
No,
I a whole group of people.
I knew that question could keep you going for a while.
And quite frankly, just real quick back into it, there's also a huge possibility. I guess this isn't quite frankly. My opinion is that I probably would think it's kind of stupid, but there's a huge possibility that, look, they're just going to use the lightning port for their headphones. So you get those in the box. So there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't care. I'll just use those headphones and then use the headphones that they sell in the future that just have the lightning thing. And like, I could see this coming where, like, look, you buy a pair of, say, Sony headphones at Best Buy. They're $24.99 and they use a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, but in the box, because they want to sell the iPhone owners, they have a little adapter that, switches to lightning. So, there might be just this entire ecosystem too of manufacturers that are like, oh, we'll sell the adapter in our headphones, so you don't have to pay $30. You're still buying our brand, and we're appealing to all audiences, whether they have Android phones with 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks or the iPhone without one. But I think in general, just to get back to it again, Bluetooth is probably where we're going in any case.
Yeah, I do think we're probably heading towards Bluetooth, but I love my Bose Quiet Comforts. They're not Bluetooth. I'm sorry, I'm going to continue to use them for quite a while.
I have my Buds. I love them too. But you know what the biggest thing is? And like, I have Bose Buds. But here, this part of all headphones, this is the reason why I can't wait for Bluetooth. I mean, everywhere, is like this little part that I'm showing, the part that connects the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, frays and breaks on most of the headphones I have at some point or another. And like, that drives me nuts. But I haven't found a great pair of Bluetooth headphones that I really like. A lot of people say, this is not promotion. They like the Jaybirds. What were those? I forget what they were called. But we saw them at CES. They really like Jaybirds, and those are Bluetooth headphones. So,
yeah,
that's like I like Buds, except for when I'm traveling.
Yeah, I'd say I prefer over the ear because I'm weird.
But actually,
From Sachin Bahal, someone suggesting that Chris Pratt could be a young version of Indiana Jones, older than River Phoenix's Indy, but younger than Harrison Ford's Indy, or even a guy who was inspired by Indiana Jones' adventures. I've wondered about that. For those that don't know, there was a television series on ABC in the 90s, I believe it was, called The Young Indiana Jones Adventures. And it dealt with Indy's life in 2 different time periods. So there was like a young boy version, and then there was a teenage version. And then, of course, in Last Crusade, we also saw River Phoenix play a young version of Indy. In the very first episode of Young Indiana Jones Adventures, they did have Harrison Ford like reflecting back on a story. And then throughout the series, they had like a super old Indy who was a different actor reflecting back and thinking back to these stories of his adventures. They could go with that route. I think in the films it would be a little odd, but they could go that route and use that to introduce a new Indiana Jones.
But I vote Chris Pratt because I think he's awesome.
Chris Pratt,
so I like that idea.
I mean, although I find it hilarious. You look back and when Chris Pratt was on Parks and Rec and he was a little bit chubbier, nobody paid that much attention to him. He loses weight, gets ripped, and now it's like, let's put him in everything.
Yeah, but I thought he was great in Guardians of the Galaxy too, which
he was
just like
oh no, I think I've probably watched Guardians of the Galaxy the most of any of the Marvel movies.
Oh, nice.
That is a really,
but I haven't seen them all.
That is a really solid movie, and they're filming number 2 right now.
So. Yeah, and the soundtrack was great, so I hope they keep that up.
They've announced that they've locked the songs for Volume 2, but they have not announced what they are yet.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, considering how much the songs played a part in the story, that makes sense to me that they would lock them this early.
Yeah.
From Sachin Bahal, what do you guys think of the PlayStation VR price, i.e. $399, but then another $60 for the PlayStation camera, which is required? That's a tough one to me because I already have the PlayStation camera, but there's going to be a lot of parents that don't realize this. They're going to be in the store. They're going to see the $399 version and they're going to see the $459 version, which includes the camera. And they're going to go, oh, why should I get the $459 version? I'll get Tommy the $399 one.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Christmas morning, Tommy will have a non-working PlayStation VR headset.
Yeah. Avoid tears. Get the camera.
Trademark Todd.
It's a PSA for Christmas season. Holiday season.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm still of the mind I'm not that excited about VR. And I'm not ordering a PlayStation VR until, Joey's going to be getting one. I'll wait for Joey to tell me what he thinks of before I even think about buying one.
Same here. I'm going to do the same thing because Brandon was up there at the event yesterday, checked it out, said it was like slightly better than Gear VR. And like, we get that. So it's really going to be about the content, but the Gear VR is good, but the Gear VR is $100. It works with your phone. You're like, okay, this is pretty neat. Like, if it's just slightly better and it's $400 and like, I don't know. There's so many things with VR that I've used. They fix a lot of them that are important, and they seem to be, available on these really expensive systems. And that's like the depth thing, like when you can move in and out and stuff, because that's what helps with the nausea. And I don't know much about PlayStation VR other than the price, right? That was announced yesterday. So I'm not the one to like be the authority on this, but for $400, I'm guessing you don't get a lot of those features, right? Because they probably require a bit more muscle. And the Gear VR, for example, like you can only handle so much time inside that thing. It feels kind of weird, and I want to be as comfortable as possible in the virtual reality world. So I'm a little skeptical, but who knows? I mean, it seems like it's really cool. So,
well, I love the fact that Oculus this morning released the nausea scale.
Yeah, barf scale or whatever.
Yeah, to me, I'm just not that excited about VR. I don't know why. I think it's when I go and sit down to play a video game, I just want to pick up a controller and go. I don't want to have to go, okay, do I have enough room?
Yeah.
Everything's moved away. Okay, now let me get this headset on so I can pay no attention to the outside world. Okay. No, I'm sorry. It's
kind of weird.
I don't want the motion sickness. I don't want the hassle.
Yeah.
I have a lot of pets, so am I supposed to go lock up my dogs while I'm playing, some VR game because I won't be able to see that they've walked in the room and they're under my feet?
Right. That too. Yeah.
I mean, imagine you're in a VR headset and all of a sudden, you don't realize Mabel's woken up.
Yeah. My little puppy.
Yeah. And you trip over her or you fall on her. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. And actually, that's funny you say that because when I'm playing games at night, she'll usually come over and like sit on my lap or something. So like, she's definitely always trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
And so she would, yeah. You can, there's a lot of weird things that are going to be like case by case, right? Because a lot of people probably also are like, well, I have this gaming room, or I play in my basement and like I got all this space and my dog doesn't come down there anyway. So, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that'll really like it. I just think also for apartment dwellers like myself, where I don't have any room, like I'm going to be knocking all over the place. Like I can't. But
Well,
I think PlayStation's right is more about sitting still, isn't it? I might be wrong again. I don't know much.
I don't know, but I have a simple solution for you. Just rent a second apartment just for your VR playing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's completely devoid except for the game system. I'm sure Christy, your wife, will have no problem with this.
No, yeah. Totally.
Honey, it's for work.
Yeah. I wish that excuse worked.
You never know. It might work. It might work. And another question from Sachin Bahal, and I had to go look up what this was. Have any of you checked out the Movie Swap Kickstarter? I went and looked it up, and basically it's going to be do you remember, I think it was called Lulu, where you could swap CDs with people?
I do remember. I don't remember what it was called, but I know the service.
I was a member of it. It sounds like the same kind of idea. The movie industry is going to shut this down so hard it's not even funny.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept, but believe me, the movie industry is.
And is this supposed to be like? Is it swapping hard copies? Like
swapping hard copies.
Oh, okay.
Which hardly anyone buys anymore.
I know that's what I was going to say. Like,
now, have you heard anything this week about this streaming movie service that Sean Parker's backing?
No.
Okay, so it would cost you like $150 to join.
I did hear a little bit about this.
And you could watch the current theatrical releases in your home for $50 each.
Yep, I did hear about that, which is crazy. I mean, look, but you think about the millionaires with theaters in their homes, they're probably like, oh, that's great.
Oh, that is great. People like you and me?
Yeah, no way.
No way.
Oh, you know what? I saw a really great argument, though, because I get what you're saying, no way, and that's the first thing I said, but I just remember this argument. My old boss, Mark Spoonhour at Laptop Magazine, wrote an editorial about how modern day taking his family out to the movies, once you all get there, it's about $50 anyway. So if you can just have the whole family sit home and watch it, then it's a good deal. And that I totally get. So I should say I take it back a little bit.
I do get that. I mean, and see, I do buy a lot of movies, but I wait until I can pick up iTunes gift cards for 20 to 25% off. I then buy the movie, once it's out, because going to the movies, just as myself, I'm looking at $8 to $11. Okay, well, I can pick up the movie off of iTunes for 19, have the 25% off, so it's running me around 15 or so.
And you own it.
And I own it and can watch it as many times as I want.
Yeah.
And so I just watch it a few months later. Big deal. And I have a backup right now of movies that I'm behind on watching that I've already purchased. But, I'm flying to Irvine in, a week from Saturday. So movie watching time. I don't know. I mean, yes, for a family of 4 or whatever, this actually does make some sense.
Yeah.
For 2 people, 1 person, I'll just wait till it's out on iTunes and buy it.
Yeah, exactly. I think, it's I guess I was quick to say like, no way. And then I forgot about, like if you want to go see Zootopia, right? Like the whole family's probably going to go if you have kids, which neither of us do. So right. I guess, maybe we're not the market, but.
Yeah, I go to a lot of movies by myself.
Right. And I don't go to movies.
Yeah. I don't go very often, but when I do, I just go by myself. So, for me, it's I can go watch, the new James Bond on the big screen or pay $50 and watch it at my house.
Right. Yeah.
I'll go to the theater. Thank you. Is there anything else on your mind this week, sir?
No, I think we've covered everything. Partially everything.
Yes, partially everything. So next week, of course, we'll be discussing whatever was announced at the Apple event. So that should be interesting. And then, of course, there will also be 800 new rumors about the iPhone 7.
Yes. Yes. I wonder if they'll reference it at all in a joke. Probably not. But I don't know. Apple's sort of changed, and sometimes they make little.
I don't know. We now get pot smoking jokes. So
yeah. That's true.
It's a brave new Apple. Well, as always, we do appreciate you joining us. You can find the Techno Buffalo Show on the iTunes store by searching for the Techno Buffalo Show. And we do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also find us on Pocket Casts. You can subscribe via RSS feed, or you can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Until next week, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the editor-in-chief of the site. I've been joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
Until next week, take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.